Hi all, welcome back to this channel. Been a while, posted something. I'm going to resume that in a few weeks time. So this is one of the very few ones you're going to see first. On this video I'm just going to talk about what I've been doing with the Titanic, which I intend to continue. And then I will be posting some modeling sessions in Blender as well. And then I'll share Blender document, which the beginner Blender's document that you can start to learn how to use Blender. So that when I model some of this stuff, you understand how I go about doing it. Based on some feedback, I've realized that I need to perhaps do some build exercises in Blender just to illustrate how Blender works, so you can use that to understand what I do when I model the Titanic. So today what I'm going to do is build some sort of vehicle with wheels. I can do that, or what I could do is use the arrow key and come down here and then select that, make that longer, and then probably bring it up a bit. So just use to bring that up. Next thing I'll do is to bring in cylinders for the tires. So if I press Shift A, I'll just click on the cylinder. I'll just bring it to the side and press R Y90. If you remember that's the y-axis, that's the x-axis, then vertically is the z-axis. So press S to reduce size. Because I want it to be shorter on the x-axis, I can press X, SX, and then bring it down. So if I press the number 1 key, I can press G and bring it down there. So that is high from the ground, so I'll just bring it to the side. Then next thing I'll do, I'll just move it a bit and then press Shift D, hold the center key so it will just place the duplicate object there. I'll just press S. That's going to be the axle, so I'm just going to name it right now. Axle rigid body constraints here. So the ground is already passive, so it doesn't move. So then there, rigid body active, and then the body, rigid body active. So the first thing I'm going to do is to connect these two. So I'm going to select that and go to object and rigid body connect. I'm going to make sure that it's at the center here because that's where the rotations take place. Alright, it should be in the center of this. So I was going to go to wireframe mode, press 1, select that object, Shift S and cursor selected, and then select this, Shift S and select your cursor, and then go back to object mode. So when I select that empty, it's called empty, I can see the names here. So what I'll do is select this and select moto. So to actually test this out, all I have to do is press the space bar. And when I press space bar, they all fall to the ground, nothing happens. Escape returns to the start. And then what I'll do is I want them to rotate. I want this wheel to rotate, so I'll select angular. When I press space bar again, you can see it's rotating backwards, but I want it to rotate forwards. So I'm just going to swap this to delete that, select the axle, and select the wheel. And then you see the wheel is rotating towards the front straight. So I'll press 1, I'll just shift duplicate that and bring that here and change that to generic. And all I need for this one is just to enable rotation on this axis. So it's going to keep this stuck to this, but still enable this to rotate on it. Just going to select all this, drag down, and put them at 0. You can see now they're connected, but of course probably due to weight or something they're sort of falling around, so I need to ease it down a bit. Then I'm going to select this or this, and then this, and then object, rigid body, connect. And then I'll select, so I'll go into wireframe, that's where the body is. Let's go press 1G, bring it down to this point, and go to the side here and select generic spring. All I want to do, so if I go to the top, I need to move it back here as well to where the wheels are. And all I want this to do is to give the impression that when the vehicle drops, it bounces vertically. That's on the Z-axis. So basically I need to lock up every other thing. So When I press the space bar, you can see that it's now rotating. Now you can actually see what happens when some of these things are unchecked. If I uncheck the X angle, I press it, you can see it's sort of confused on where to go. Maybe it's rotating against itself. If I select the Y angle, you can see it's rotating around the Y axis. Z, well, it's vertical, so it won't be too visible. But ultimately, so that's what you do. You lock all this up and then enable the stiffness. So I think it's on the ground. So if I do that, it's dropping. So what I need to do is now duplicate this across the vehicle and just go to top view 7, click the ground and hide that, and then just select these tires, Shift D, bring them to the side. So Shift select this first and RZ 80, bring it closer. Same here, RZ 180, bring it closer. So if we simply just run it and see what happens, object mode and unhide the floor, Alt H and spacebar. So it's trying to, this tile is trying to go that way, these ones are trying to come this way, so it's sort of locked in its place. So what I need to do is to swap this. Several things I could do. I could rotate this around, or I could swap this too. So I'll just go to constraint here, select this first constraint, which is the motor, and that's axle 2. I'll just change this to wheel left, and swap this too. So click, delete, and select wheel, and then select axle. Then for the front wheels as well, I just select the motor constraint, which is the farthest one here, and then I'll need to swap this as well. Just select the wheel and then select the axle, and now when I press spacebar I can see it's moving forwards. So just extend this a bit, SY, and then GY. I run this, maybe faster, because now it's running at a higher max impulse. I was able to get to its position a bit faster. Alright, it falls over. Alright, so we'll stop there today. This has just been an illustration of how to create rotary constraints using rigid bodies. So this can be replaced by a real vehicle, and then you can just put the constraints on the wheels. At some point in the future, I'll be using some of this stuff to build certain scenes, and you'll see how it's done. I'll be sure to grab the free Blender manual. I'll put the link in the description. It will allow you to start to learn how Blender works, and you can start to practice some of the stuff I show you. So this is what the Titanic looks like now, just an overview of what I've done. So I've tried to create the B deck, the rooms and the restaurants and stuff. So I'll be going over some of this stuff in some of the following classes. I'll show you how I've done them. But in the meantime, you can actually go to my Cooler Damage website, go to Simulations and RMS Titanic VR, and then it loads. And what you get to see actually is the Titanic experience. Click enter experience and it takes you to a scene in 3.js. So this is not updated yet, but I'm going to be updating this based on further development on the Titanic. And thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and see you in the next class. Cheers, bye.